They are unmistakably German. They're high quality while they last, and then they decline quickly. Hey, welcome back. Anton here from GT Canada. If you're new to the channel, you know that we talk about different things on here. The $500 car challenge and the car stories, which today I want to tell you about another one of the cars we got. Now this one, if you watched our $500 challenge before, you would know that on one of them I ended up with a Honda Civic. And one of the rules that we've always kind of, I don't know if it was spoken or unspoken, was that for the $500 challenge, we do not want to get a Honda Civic because everyone knows you can get a Honda Civic for cheap. So who cares, right? So what if you found a cheap Honda Civic? So one thing that you would have heard me say when I was talking about my Honda Civic was that I had a different car that I had gotten first. And that different car was an Audi A4 station wagon. And I was super excited about this Audi A4 station wagon. Now, those of you that know our $500 challenge, you know that our budget is $500 to buy the car, and then you can spend up to $100 or more if you get the car for less, but you can spend money repairing the car to take the all-in price to $600. So I know that Audis need work and they're hard to keep working. Now, any of you who know me know that I love Audis. I love how they look. I love how they drive. I love everything about them. I've always loved Audis. One thing that you learn from loving and owning Audis is that they fall apart quickly and they keep falling apart. So to go and buy a $500 Audi is a huge gamble because odds are something on that car is going to break and it's going to make it totally immobile at some point on your journey, and that becomes a problem. So despite that, and with the premise of this $500 car challenge in mind, I didn't care. I was set out to buy an Audi, and those who also know me know that I love station wagons. I'm driving my Ford Flex right now, which is, in my opinion, one of the coolest station wagons you can buy today. So I found this Audi. He's just outside of town, so there's not a lot of demand for old used broken Audis anyway, but because he's so far out of town, he's probably not getting a lot of interest in his car. So I sent him a message. I said, hey, listen, your car's broken. I'll give you $400. He says, yeah, whatever, come get it. And I said, can I drive it home? You're out of town. Do I need a trailer or will this drive home? He says, yeah, it'll drive home fine. So normally that's how I can tell, if it's worth the risk or not, because a lot of times if it can drive, it's probably going to be good enough to keep driving. So I go look at this car. I go for a quick test drive around the block. I'm coming up to the first stop sign on my test drive, and that's when I find out it's got no brakes. I'm pumping the brakes like crazy, trying to stop, and it feels like there's just air in the lines. I'm pumping, realize they're not firming up at all. So I just mash the brakes all the way down and yank up on the e-brake, managed to get the car to stop, turn around, drive back. I said, okay, listen, it does run, it does drive. You got no brakes. How long have you had no brakes? And he's like, oh, it's got no brakes? I'm like, no, it's got no brakes. Now this guy, he had probably 4 or 5 Audis in the driveway. He clearly knows Audis. He's got a couple rotting in his backyard. So he's got some parts cars. When I go in his garage to sign the bill of sale, turns out he's got a couple more Audis in there. So I don't believe for a second that this guy had no idea the brakes didn't work. I think he just hoped I wouldn't notice. I buy the car anyway. I drive it home knowing it's got no brakes, so I'm just downshifting for turns and stuff, trying to time the lights. It's all highway driving. As long as no one pulls in front of me, I'd be okay. So I get the car for $400. I got lots of room left. Now, one of the other things that I noticed is the front axles are thumping. They're blown. Now, normally when you're buying a used car especially, one of the ways you test your CV joints or your front axles on an all-wheel drive car is you turn the wheel all the way to the left and drive in a tight circle. And usually you'll hear a faint thump, thump, thump. That tells you that the CV joint is starting to go. If it's more than a faint thump, that means that it's at an advanced stage of letting go. Well, I was driving straight and it's going thump, 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 thump. Like, I don't think this thing was even connected. I think the rubber boot was still holding it together. So I know I need an axle. Well, the guy says, well, actually the axle you need is in the back seat already. I already bought the axle, I just haven't put it in. So I said, okay, fine. You know, as long as the parts are all here. I went to fix the car. Turns out the axle is the wrong one. I don't know where he got it from. It probably a Volkswagen or something, different brand, different model of car. And so the axle doesn't fit. Now I got this car apart in my driveway. Well, I knew it needed some other things. One of the other things that it needed was the dipstick. Now, the dipstick on these cars is, it's a fiberglass, I don't even know what to call it. It's like fiberglass. And so they deteriorate over time, and a lot of times they'll break off and fall inside the engine. I don't know if it's a big deal or not. I just imagine that it just disappears in there and disintegrates, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe every Audi I've ever looked at has a piece of a dipstick sitting in the bottom of the oil pan. So I went to the wrecker, which if you've never been to a wrecker, check out one of my other videos. I'll put a link up here to show you how to go to a wrecker if you've never been before and give you a quick tour of that. So I go to the wrecker. I got a list of all these parts that I need. One of those parts is the dipstick. I'm going to grab the new axle and a couple of miscellaneous bits that were missing on the car. And I find a car, same car as mine, get the axle from it, and while I'm there, I'm like, yeah, grab the dipstick. Sure enough, it actually has the dipstick. So I'm super excited, right? Get the new axle in and slide my dipstick in. Turns out there's no oil on the dipstick. And I'm like, holy crap, the oil's so low on this car that there's not even oil registering on the dipstick. I'm so lucky that it even didn't seize up on my way home. So I start adding oil to the engine. And I'm like, well, it's probably just down a liter, right? I add a liter. Wait a few seconds, well, probably a minute. Wait a minute or so for the oil to kind of settle down and register on the dipstick. Pull the dipstick out, still no oil. Put another liter in. Check it again. Still no oil. Put a third liter in. Now it's just starting to show on the oil. Add another half a liter, and now it's on the dipstick, proper level. This is the day before we're supposed to be leaving on our trip. So I say, hey, you know what? We should go for a test drive. The car's ready to go. So the brakes. Actually, I should get to the brakes. So I actually had to replace the brake bleeder screws. They were not sealing tight on the caliper, so they're just sucking in air. So I bled all of the air out of the system, replaced the brake bleeder screws, which I also got at the wrecker, and the car was good. It was totally ready to go. I added a little spoiler on the back, which you'll see from the pictures I've been showing. Sweet spoiler. I really wanted to kind of Fast and Furious this thing out. So I went to my wife. She was actually going to come as my co-pilot. First time ever, she had agreed to co-pilot on these stupid $500 challenges, she says. So we jump in the car, we're going for a ride, and I get to the first intersection. I'm sitting at the light, an error comes on the dash, red with an oil thing. And I'm like, well, it definitely has oil because I just added the oil. I keep driving, get to the next light. Now the engine starts running a little bit rough, and I look behind me and there's this huge smoke screen of smoke. I can't even see the cars behind me because of this smoke screen that's behind us. So I step on the gas to kind of get ahead when the light goes green and get out of everybody's way. And this smoke screen's getting worse. And I start to see headlights through the fog that was behind us. Super embarrassing, right? So I get looped around onto the highway so that I can try and get back home. And this smoke screen, it starts to kind of go away. If I let off the gas pedal a little bit, the smoke screen goes away completely. So I'm kind of like half coasting, whatever. Get up to about 110 kilometers an hour and I'm coasting on. I'm like, this is great. And then all of a sudden, boom, engine dies. Totally dead. So engine's not spinning at all. I pop it into neutral, try to start it, and it's going thump, 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 and I'm getting nothing out of this thing. So I coast to the side of the road, kind of get off to a side road and check. It is locked up solid. So I ended up going home, grabbing my other car, grabbing a tow rope, and then pulling it home. I was only a few blocks from home at that point anyway. So that was it. That was it for my car. There's no way it's coming back to life. And so then the hunt's on. Well, I'm not going to fix this car. I need another car. So I started looking for the Honda Civic, which you saw in the video. And I'll do another $500 I'll do another car story about that so that you can kind of see the story. It had an interesting story as well. So why did the engine seize though? That's what everyone probably wants to know. Hopefully you want to know, because I'm going to tell you. So it turns out that one had the 3-liter V6 engine. Now, for whatever reason, and I don't know why, there's 2 dipsticks for this engine. One of them, the tube goes on the side of the engine, and it goes down to the thing. Another one, it comes up over top of the engine. It goes in that way. It still goes back to the same place, but the dipstick tube is longer. So mine had that style of dipstick tube. And I wasn't really paying attention to the dipstick that I grabbed from the wrecker, but that one had a dipstick that was the short one that goes down in the side of the engine. So I put this short dipstick into the long dipstick tube. So it was only coming down like halfway down to the side of the engine, not all the way to where the oil actually should be. So that's why when I stuck it in, it said there was no oil because it wasn't going in all the way. So me adding oil, by the time I was done adding oil till it showed up on the dipstick, it was already halfway up the dipstick tube. So I had totally added at least 3 more liters of oil than what I needed for that engine. So I had totally overfilled it, and I had blown the seals and locked the engine up. Probably broke one of the rings on the piston, which is what made the engine actually lock up. It wasn't cranking over anymore. It was locked solid. So that was the untimely demise of that car. I ended up actually pulling some parts off it. I had gotten some rims with it, and I sold those rims for a couple $100. Found a wrecker guy that came and bought the car from me with no wheels for I think he paid me $300. So I didn't lose any money on the car, but I did lose a lot of time trying to get this car ready to go. And it's just bad luck on my part. Maybe not even bad luck. That was just me not paying attention to things. And you know what the saddest part? You know what the saddest part of the whole thing is? That was the second Audi that I blew up in the exact same way. I had actually owned another Audi, a A4 sedan with the same engine, same problem. Dipstick was broken. And on that one, I actually used fish tape, electrical fish tape, and found measurements online of how long the dipstick was supposed to be. And I just cut the fish tape and shoved it in and then checked it that way. I did the exact same thing. And here I thought, that was a couple years ago. Here I thought I was smarter now than I was 2 years ago. Turns out I'm not. I'm just as stupid. I wrecked that car. So that was that car. If you liked this story, check out some of the other stories that we got going on. I'll tell you all about some of the cars we've had. And we got lots of really great road trips and some good how-tos as well. So stick around and check out what else this channel's got to offer.